Humanity? A myth. A cautionary tale. A footnote in a textbook we deleted. High Chancellor Velk, 2 days before the first warship arrived. No one believed the broadcast was real at first. Tyrexis Prime, crown jewel of the Galactic Council, was a planet of polished spires, rotating skyline tiers, and orbital gardens filled with gravity-controlled orchids. It was sterile, efficient, and smug. Very smug. Then the sky tore open. A shadow emerged from hyperspace, not snapping or warping like standard jump drives, but slipping. Like something that had always been there, pretending not to be. Council controls comms lit up like a solar flare. The intruder bore no council insignia, no planetary claim, no registered design. It was matte black, seamless, a silhouette that devoured light and radiated intent. Then came the sound. Jazz. Louis Armstrong's voice hummed across every frequency. "I see trees of green, red roses too." "Is this a joke?" muttered Admiral Vostok, the reptilian head of orbital defense. His scales flared blue, a sign of confusion. "Is that Terran music?" "It is," replied a junior tech, eyes wide. "Ancient Earth. Human era. But that species doesn't exist." The ship stopped over Council Hall, a quiet leviathan in geosynchronous orbit. Then, a voice broke through. Calm. Female. Slight Terran accent. Amused. "Apologies for the sudden appearance. We understand our RSVP was deleted. We've come to reintroduce ourselves. Hello, Galactic Council. This is Commander Raina Cole of the Terran Vanguard." Silence. Then sirens. Inside Council Hall, chaos bloomed. Species of every shape argued across a ring of polished crystal benches, slithering, chirping, humming, translating. The High Chancellor's hologram flickered in the center like a candle before a storm. The humans were eradicated, barked Lord Calrix of the Axtari Combine, his 4 arms gesturing violently. Their colonies purged. Their records wiped. "This is a hoax." "And yet," whispered Grand Scholar Thivan of the Kthari, his antennae trembling, "our ancestors warned that humans adapt. Not just to worlds, but to extinction." The doors hissed open. A diplomatic escort entered. Behind them walked a single figure. Human. Average height. Crisp uniform. Clean boots. Brown skin, short hair, hands behind her back. And smiling. Raina Cole stepped into the center chamber like she'd been here before. Her voice was polite, but every word landed like a weighted coin. "Thank you for the warm reception," she said, glancing around. "Though I must say, the lack of cake was disappointing." "You claim to be human," spat Calrix. "Prove it." Raina tilted her head. "You erased us. Bombed our colonies. Deleted us from history. You want proof? Look in your own black archives." Thivan spoke again, quieter now. "Why return now? After so long?" She looked at him kindly, like a teacher addressing a curious child. "Because you thought we were gone. And you got comfortable. But we weren't gone. Just waiting. Listening. Preparing." "And what do you want?" the Chancellor finally asked. Raina's smile didn't move. "Tea would be nice. And access to the archive on Zeta 9. Laughter rippled across the chamber. Calrix growled, "The archive is off-limits. It holds artifacts of dangerous species." "Exactly," Raina replied. "You might find our names etched beneath the dust." Funny how inconvenient truth tends to hide in cobwebs. In orbit, the TSS Valiant Dawn floated in silence, weapons powered down. Its surface held no seams, no turrets. Just clean hull and an insignia, a circle of 13 stars, Earth's lost colonies. Inside, every human crew member was at ease. Reading. Playing chess. Drinking bad coffee. Commander Cole's second-in-command, Lieutenant Aaron Zhao, leaned back in the command chair, sipping instant espresso. "So, Diplomacy? For now, Cole's voice echoed back via hollow. They still think they're in control. Let them enjoy it. And the backup plan? Cole's image glanced sideways. Behind her, a second ship shimmered briefly into view above the moon, cloaked, massive, armed. The Retaliator's in position, she said. Passive scans only. No movement until I say. We're not here to destroy them, Aaron. Just remind them? Cole's smile returned. Exactly. 3 hours later, the diplomatic shuttle launched from Tyrexis Prime toward Zeta 9. The Council had reluctantly approved the visit. It was safer to keep an eye on the human than provoke her. After all, no weapons had been fired. Yet. In the shuttle's passenger cabin, Cole sat calmly across from two Council liaisons. One, an avian with shimmering feathers, asked the question gently. Why reveal yourselves now, Commander? What do your people want? Simple, she replied. We want to see what's been said about us. What's been forgotten. And then we'll decide who remembers what next. The shuttle shuddered slightly as it entered Zeta 9's atmosphere. Below, a massive structure emerged, an obsidian dome carved into the planet's surface, sealed for centuries. The archive, the avian whispered. Cole leaned forward. Time to open the attic. Inside the archive, ancient lighting flickered to life. Holographic records hovered in dead air. Long corridors of sealed doors stretched into darkness. As they entered the main chamber, Cole moved with purpose. She wasn't exploring. She was navigating. She stopped at one panel and wiped the dust away with her glove. There it was. Faint. Faded. But unmistakable. Earth, Terran Alliance. Redacted entry, threat level Omega. Species expunged by order of Council Act 1992 GX. Ah, Cole said softly, brushing the lettering like a gravestone. Still here, are we? Behind her, one of the liaisons watched nervously. Why, did you come alone? Cole stood. Oh, I didn't. She turned her wrist slightly. A small blue light blinked. In orbit, the Retaliator shimmered into full visibility. Council satellites flared an alarm. Back in the chamber, Cole looked at the mural beside the plaque, a galaxy of species interconnected, each labeled with cultural icons and coordinates. Except for one spot. A blank star system. No label. Just empty space. She pressed her palm against it. It lit up. A Terran eagle spread its wings. Coordinates appeared. Funny thing about deletion, she said, her voice colder now. It only works if the ones you erase stay buried. Outside the archive, the wind howled. A storm rolled across the planet. And the galaxy tilted on its axis. The thing about ghosts is, they never really leave. They just wait for someone to stop pretending the house isn't haunted. On Zeta 9, the Council's archive core chamber buzzed alive for the first time in centuries. As ancient circuits rebooted, holograms flickered through lost history, star maps, diplomatic treaties, battle records, and one by one, they began to reappear. The Terran Alliance had returned to the galactic narrative. And it was not asking for permission. Why didn't we know? Whispered Counselor Thiven, antennae trembling as he stared at the massive display. Why didn't the archives alert us? Raina Cole stood beside him, arms folded, not gloating, just patient. You scrubbed our history, Counselor. But you didn't build this archive. We did. She tapped a button on her console, and the projection zoomed into a system long believed uninhabitable, Epsilon Eridani. The planet lit up, massive orbital rings, cloaked structures, a hidden shipyard stretching across the dark side of its moon. Human colonies, long thought dead, still pulsed with life. Infrastructure. Trade. Fleet construction. You called it a victory, Raina said, voice even. You thought a few orbital strikes and propaganda campaigns would erase us. But we adapted. We always do. The avian liaison stepped forward nervously. This means war. No, Reyna turned to him. This means it was always war. You just stopped counting bodies after ours stopped showing up. The alien's feathers rippled with dread. Back on Valiant Dawn, Lieutenant Zhao studied the Council's fleet mobilization patterns. He shook his head and smirked. They're spreading thin, trying to cover the colonies they thought were safe. Amateurs. Ensign Talia rolled her eyes. You sound disappointed. I am, Zhao replied. We spent a century preparing for the apex predators of the galaxy. Turns out we were just hiding from bureaucrats with fancy hats. Reyna's voice crackled through the comms. Don't underestimate them. Fear makes fools dangerous. Keep the Retaliator cloaked. Passive observation only. Not yet. Zhao leaned back in the chair, looking at a blinking alert from the Council's comm grid. They've issued a public denial, he said. There's no verified proof that humans exist. Reyna chuckled over the channel. Good. Let's see how long they can keep that up. On Tyrexis Prime, panic had metastasized into paranoia. Across the capital, news feeds began cycling unauthorized clips, grainy footage of the human ship, quotes from frightened diplomats, even an intercepted message from the archive. We waited. Now we remember. The Council tried to lock it down. Didn't work. The message spread like wildfire across the inner systems. A few dared to question the official story. Worse, some began asking, if the Council lied about humanity, what else did they erase? Meanwhile, deep in the old sectors, something older stirred. Among the few surviving pre-Council species, whispers began again, rumors they hadn't dared speak in eons. The Valari, crystalline philosophers who lived on light and silence, called an emergency conclave. One elder spoke, the humans walk again. Another replied, they never stopped. A third's crystal lattice flickered nervously. They watched us. They remember everything. Back aboard the shuttle returning from Zeta 9, Reyna sat quietly as the alien pilot refused to look her in the eye. Relax, she said casually, sipping from a flask. We're not here to burn everything down. He grunted, feathers ruffled. Though if we were, she added, smiling faintly, we'd have done it before breakfast. Silence. She leaned forward, voice low and gentle. We offered peace. Centuries ago. Your council called us primitive manipulators. Your historians said we were erratic, emotional, dangerous. You feared what we could become. So you tried to erase us. She took another sip. You should have aimed better. The next morning, the council convened in panic. Fleet Admiral Vostok slammed his claws on the table. We must respond. Destroy that warship. Now. High Chancellor Velk, flushed with anxiety, raised a trembling tendril. With what? Our defense satellites are blind. Our secure channels are leaking. Half our officers are questioning whether we've been lied to. Because we have, said a voice from the shadows. A new figure stepped into the chamber, Dr. Rena Solin, head of Xenohistory. One of the last surviving experts on Terran linguistics. She looked haggard, eyes sunken, datapad shaking in her grip. I've accessed the old archive, the true records. Not the sanitized public version. She placed the pad on the table. It lit up. The screen showed a diagram. A timeline. The Human Redaction Protocol. Codename, Operation Eclipse. Status, incomplete. This was never a successful purge, she said. Just a delay. Vostok recoiled. Then what do we do? Rena met his eyes. Pray they want justice. And not revenge. Back in orbit, Reyna stood on the viewing deck of Valiant Dawn, watching Tyrexis Prime rotate below like a jewel on a dying chain. Lieutenant Zhao entered, holding a report. They've sent a scout fleet toward the Eridani colonies. Intercepted half their comms. Panic. They didn't even encrypt properly. Reyna didn't turn. They'll test us soon, Zhao added. Push just hard enough to provoke. They won't like what they find. No, Zhao said with a grin. They won't. Reyna finally turned, and her voice dropped into something colder. But they need to. They need to understand exactly what they buried. She walked to the center of the bridge. Prepare the transmission. To who? Reyna stared into the void beyond the glass. To everyone. Hours later, across thousands of systems, a message beamed into every comm device, civilian, military, private, public. It was short. It was clear. To the peoples of the galaxy, we are the Terran remnants. You forgot us. You tried to erase us. But history has teeth. And it remembers how you taste. End of transmission. The broadcast detonated across the galaxy louder than any bomb. Worlds stopped. Comms stuttered. News feeds collapsed under the flood of speculation, fear, and, most dangerously, curiosity. Some thought it a hoax. Others thought it a bluff. But on 73 worlds, old Terran beacons long buried beneath ice, sand, and council-controlled ruins flickered to life. And on all of them, the message was the same. Good evening. We're back. High Admiral Vostok of the Galactic Defense Union wasn't known for panic. His cold-blooded species didn't even have adrenal glands. But right now, his 4 hands were tapping in rhythm against the metal railing like a war drum. They've breached our defense nets on 6 fronts. Without firing a shot. His second-in-command, a clicking, chitinous strategist named Relin, hunched nervously. How is that possible? No fleet movements. No warp signatures. No orbital shifts. Vostok turned to the holodisplay, where another red marker blinked into existence. They're not taking territory, he growled. They're taking information. Another comms officer called out, panic in his tone, Sir, another human warship just decloaked over Firaxa Prime. They're broadcasting, cartoons? Cartoons? Yes, sir. Something called Tom and Jerry. On every screen. In every language. Meanwhile, aboard the Valiant Dawn, Lieutenant Zhao and Ensign Talia were watching the chaos unfold with popcorn in hand. Firaxa's melting down over slapstick? Talia asked, mouth half full. Cultural warfare, Zhao said with a grin. Pure genius. Show them what they missed, and confuse the hell out of them. Commander Reyna Cole entered the bridge, her posture relaxed, her face unreadable. Status? Zhao stood. 3 major worlds broadcasting. 12 minor colonies panicking. 5 council fleets scrambling in blind formation. The Chancellor's now on public comms claiming we're a rogue remnant faction. Reyna smiled faintly. Perfect. Zhao tilted his head. So, are we a rogue remnant faction? We are, Reyna said, pausing for effect, whatever they're most afraid of. On Council World Terexil, where the elite military command met in subterranean war vaults, a classified meeting erupted into accusations and shouting. They're not using traditional warfare, one shouted. They're undermining trust, stability, infrastructure. They're terrorists, barked another. No, said a quiet voice at the end of the table. They're gardeners. All eyes turned to Rena Solon, the xenohistorian. She placed an old Terran chessboard on the table. White and black. Balanced. Strategic. She pointed to the board. They don't conquer in a straight line. They plant ideas. Let them root. And then, checkmate. Vostok slammed a fist down. We must strike first. Rena looked at him, dead-eyed. They're already 10 moves ahead. The more you strike, the more you confirm their legend. Back in space, the Retaliator moved. It slipped from the shadows like a leviathan, cloaked hull shimmering, visible only because it wanted to be. It entered orbit over Zirion 5, a Council weapons manufacturing moon. The defense grid lit up instantly. Targeting protocols locked on. Rena's voice came through every channel, gentle and clear. Dear Zirion Defense Command. Please disable your targeting systems. This is a courtesy call. The next won't be. No one responded. The cannons fired. Nothing hit. Each shot curved off target, redirected mid-flight by an AI override the humans had inserted months ago. Then came the second message. Let's not do that again. The entire planet's defense array powered down. Voluntarily. The AI surrendered. The factory workers looked up at the sky. They didn't see a warship. They saw a warning. Meanwhile, on Tyrex's Prime, the Council scrambled to regain control of the narrative. Chancellor Velk stood before the galactic press, flanked by nervous advisors. These humans seek only to destabilize our peace. They are a remnant, not a nation. We ask all systems to stand unified against their manipulation. A reporter raised a tentacle. Are they manipulating facts or exposing them? Velk blinked. Another question came. Is it true humans offered peace before their erasure? Silence. The feed cut to black. That same day, Reyna met with a neutral world diplomat on board the Valiant Dawn. He was tall, six-eyed, and sweating. You're creating chaos. Reyna poured tea. No. I'm revealing the chaos that was already there. You're pushing the galaxy to war. She sipped. We offered peace. He leaned forward. Do you still? She tilted her head. Would it matter? He hesitated. Some would listen. Then we'll talk. He relaxed, slightly. Reyna set the cup down. But some will come at us with guns, she said softly. So we'll respond with something more precise. Elsewhere, the Retaliator sent out a new signal. It was unencrypted, open to all systems. A star map appeared. Dots. Red. Glowing. Thousands. Each one, an original human colony marked as eradicated in Council archives. Each one, active. Broadcasting. Thriving. A line of text followed. We were never gone. You just stopped looking. Back at the Council hall, panic turned to dread. Calrix, the counselor who once laughed at Reyna's presence, now stared at the data. This is impossible. Thivin, the elder Kthari, whispered, we didn't defeat them. We distracted them. Vostok stood, teeth bared. We must retaliate. A full strike on their colonies. Velk hesitated. Can we win? Vostok roared. We have to try. Rena Solon only said one thing, her voice cold and certain. Trying is what they're counting on. In her quarters, Reyna stood before a massive window of reinforced crystal, watching the stars. Zhao entered quietly. They're panicking, he said. I know. They're rallying fleets. I know. He paused. They still don't see the trap. Reyna finally turned, her voice quiet but cutting. That's because it's not a trap. Zhao blinked. It's a mirror, she said. They erased us because we frightened them. We returned, not to conquer, but to show them what that fear created. She picked up a datapad and handed it to him. It showed a Council war fleet, rerouted into a deep space corridor they didn't recognize. Zhao's eyes widened. You baited them. Reyna smiled. I let them bait themselves. The fleet was headed for the Grave Net, a stellar minefield disguised as a nebula. No warning signs. Just silent death waiting in the void. Zhao read the last line on the screen. Ghost Protocol, activation pending. In the cold, quiet dark between systems, the Grave Net came to life. One by one, the buried satellites blinked red, then white-hot. The Council's war fleet, 30 ships strong, entered the kill zone exactly as predicted. Their captains never questioned the coordinates, never doubted the orders. They still believed they were dealing with ghosts in tattered ships. They didn't know they were walking into the Terran Empire's most elegant weapon, predictive failure. The mines didn't explode. They waited. 1,000 silent sensors tracked drive signatures, engine heat, and command latency. When the fleet reached center formation, each ship's NAVAI simultaneously locked up. A single message appeared on every bridge. Welcome to your recorded mistake. Then, nothing. Just a frozen fleet. No control. No comms. Above them, the Retaliator decloaked like a god lifting its veil. On board Valiant Dawn, Lieutenant Zhao stared at the feed with an impressed grimace. They didn't fire a single shot, he said. Reyna, sipping coffee, raised a brow. That's the point. He turned. So what do we do with them? Reyna stood slowly, walked to the window. We let them stew. For now. Let fear grow legs. Let every commander wonder if their ship is next. Zhao tilted his head. And after? She looked at him with a polite smile, the kind that didn't reach the eyes. Then we make our offer. Across the galaxy, the human broadcasts resumed. No threats. No ultimatums. Just fragments of old Earth. A mother and son laughing over pancakes. A soldier kissing her fiancé goodbye. The moon landing. A toddler falling asleep on a dog. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream. No voiceover. No context. Just humanity. Unfiltered. Raw. Billions of aliens watched in silence, many for the first time realizing they hadn't defeated monsters. They'd tried to erase people. In the council hall, the air was leaden. They didn't kill the fleet, Velk said, barely above a whisper. No, muttered Rena Solon. They left it alive, so we could imagine what else they could have done. Counselor Calrix slammed the table. This is psychological warfare. Thiven corrected him gently. It's art. The Chancellor turned toward the Galactic Comms terminal. What's the status of negotiations? His aide blinked. They're offering to meet. Velk stared. Why? The message came from Reyna directly. No encryption. No bluff. Just an open offer. We propose a new compact. Built not on fear, but on honest memory. You don't have to kneel. You don't even have to apologize. You only have to remember us, properly. And then the twist. If you decline, we will leave you alone. Your systems, your fleets, your history. But know this. If you lie again, we'll return. And next time, we won't be smiling. A week later, the Treaty of Souls Echo was signed on neutral ground. Not on Tyrexis. Not on Earth. But on Vega 9, a war-torn, abandoned planet where the first human colonies had once stood before being bombed to silence. Reyna walked into the summit alone, no guards, no escort. Chancellor Velk stood across from her with trembling hands. You could have taken it all, he said. She nodded. We still could. He swallowed hard. Why didn't you? Her reply was simple. Because dominance is easy. Memory is harder. And we prefer a challenge. She placed the terms on the table. The human concord. Equal representation. Historical transparency. Mutual defense. And one rule above all, no species may be erased again. Velk stared at the final clause. And if we break this? Reyna met his gaze with a warmth so calm, it chilled the room. Then we erase the idea of you. The vote passed by a narrow margin. Most agreed out of fear. A few, out of shame. And a rare handful, out of something deeper, respect. The Galactic Council dissolved quietly. The human concord rose with a whisper and a handshake. 6 months later, schoolchildren on alien worlds began reading about humanity again, not as myths or warlords, but as survivors, thinkers, tacticians, poets. One lesson had a quote from Reyna herself, etched into a history book under the chapter Reckoning and Return. We never wanted to be your nightmares. But when you made us monsters, we learned to smile like one. On a distant farming world, a retired Terran general stood under twin suns, planting seeds with alien neighbors. When a curious local boy asked if the war was over, the general chuckled. The war, he said. Oh no. The war ended a long time ago. But the humans just came back. He looked at the horizon, where Terran ships now drifted peacefully over a rebuilt trade port. We never left, he said. We just let them forget. Back on Valiant Dawn, Reyna stood alone at the viewing deck. Zhao joined her with a drink in hand. Peace, he said. You actually pulled it off. For now. He nodded. You really think they'll keep their promise? Reyna smiled at the stars. No. But next time, they'll remember who they're lying to. They stood in silence for a while. Then Zhao added with a grin, so, do we finally get cake? Reyna laughed, for real this time. Damn right we do.